It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Marks and Spencer's, brewed by Fourpure Brewing Company for them, and this is a can of their Citrus Pale Ale. It's a 3.9% ABV, 330 milliliter can, and it's been described as vibrant and zesty. Now, just coming off the back of the Session IPA review, that was brewed by the same company, Fourpure Brewing Company. If you want to take a look at that video, Marks and Spencer's Session IPA, have a look at that, because I found that beer really interesting. A really interesting beer for £1.80 a can, which is, yeah, the same price for this. £1.80 a can. So without further ado then, let's get this beer out into a glass, see what we get. A little look at the back of the ingredients here as I was cracking the can. There was something there that I think we need to discuss. But first of all, before we discuss the ingredients, let's take a look at this beer relatively blind then. I don't really like to look at ingredients and stuff before I review the beer, because I like to talk to you about the beer from my own personal perspective, not somebody else's. Somebody's description on the side of the can, or ingredients on the back of the can that maybe influence your beer review. 1 or 2 finger whitehead, good levels of carbonation, straw coloured beer, a little bit of haze going on. There's a little bit of haze going on with this beer. Let's get the aroma. Yeah, it's definitely zesty. It's definitely zesty, which they've described. Vibrant and zesty is how they've described it. It smells pretty decent. It smells pretty decent. It smells very... It smells very similar to the Session IPA that we just reviewed, but it has that added zest. And I'm ready to tell you. I'm ready to tell you, because I read it by accident and I can't get it out of my mind now. So let's talk about it. So it has orange flavourings in this beer. I would prefer hops. I would prefer 100% hop beer when I'm drinking a beer with flavour. I prefer the flavour to come from the hops. But that said, hops are very expensive these days, and to produce a can at £1.80, I think there will be some corners cut. And the corners cut here is the fact that they've added some orange flavouring to the beer. That said, let's move on. Let's get the aroma. Peppery, spicy, orangey, zesty, lemon, bit of grapefruit. It smells pretty decent. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. This has been done perfectly well. This has been done fantastically well, really fantastically well, by Fourpure Brewing Company, who have brewed this beer for Marks and Spencer's. They've really thought about this. They've done a really good job in adding that orange flavouring. It's got a lovely bitterness on the back end, a rolling bitterness that is spicy and peppery. The beer at 3.9% ABV is really drinkable. It is hoppy. There's some grapefruit in there. There's some lemon in there. But that orange... Now, I've had lots and lots of adjuncty beers, as I like to call them, over the last 2 years. They seem to be a thing these days with British brewing. And I have been very critical when brewers have overdone it with the adjuncts, and it just dominates the flavour. And my fear with this beer was that it was going to be overly done with the adjuncts. It was going to be a completely just like an orange mess. But it's not. It's been subtly done. Subtly done. You're picking up the malt, which is important. You're picking up the spiciness and the pepperiness from the hops and that lovely bitter finish. And what you're getting in the middle is just a hint, just a laid back, relaxed, drinkable hint of orange flavourings. And that's fine. As far as I'm concerned with beer, that is absolutely fine, because you're picking up all of the other flavours of the beer. First and foremost, I like to ask the question, is it a beer? Does it taste like a beer? Yes, this does. It really does. They've managed to put just enough of that orange zest in the beer that you feel it, you taste it. It makes the beer even more drinkable. I love a bit of orange peel. You know, the fleshy blood orange. You guys know that. And yeah, I can see myself drinking lots of this beer. So far, I've really enjoyed this Marks and Spencer's range of beer. I think the only improvement that they could make is to take the sugar out of the Helles Lager. I read on the back of the can that it had sugar added to the Helles Lager, and all the way through the review I was saying this beer is way too sweet. Way too sweet for the Helles Lager. And right at the end of the review, I found on the back of the can sugar, and I thought to myself, oh, why didn't I speak about the sugar first and foremost? Because it was a really important part of the beer review. So seeing that there was orange on the back of this can, and seeing that they called it a zesty and vibrant pale ale, I think it was a really important point of this beer review just to pick that out. Because hops are expensive. If you wanted to pick up a beer with lots of orange, zesty, grapefruit, mango, passion fruit flavours that come from the hop, and is all in the middle of the palate. So you've got sweetness over here, bitterness over here, and then down the middle you've got that kind of lovely orange zestiness, or grapefruit and passion fruit and mango. Then you're talking £3 or £4 a can. And let's remind ourselves, this is coming in at £1.80 a can. I think I have been critical in the past of supermarket beer buyers, people in charge of whole aisles of beer, and they don't really know the subject. I think Marks and Spencer's beer buyer here, or the person who's involved in the strategy of Marks and Spencer's beer, has got a fantastic idea for this range of beer. You can pick up a lager, a pale ale, American pale ale, citrus pale ale, session IPA. They're all about 3.94% ABV. They're all very sessionable. In fact, I think now on my beer radar going forward, if you were to say to me, or if the phone rang and, you know, pick up the phone, oh, we're having a party type of thing, oh, you need to be at Joe Blogg's house at 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. He's lighting the barbecue. He's going to be throwing loads of sausage on the barbecue. Yep, absolutely fantastic. I'll be there. I'll be there. I could see myself going Saturday morning, I'm just going to nip out to M&S. I'm going to pick up a range of these craft beers. They're all really drinkable. They're all really refreshing. They're all very drinkable craft beers, and they're all quite low ABV. I went through a stage a few years ago of drinking high-end double IPAs, imperial stouts, barley wines, and literally abusing everybody around me. Just getting drunk at parties and abusing everybody around me. And I've learned that that's not the way to go, really. It's great to take a few of these strong beers to parties and show them off and go, oh, look what I'm drinking. But the end result is always trouble for me. So with that said, for me to be able to pick up a load of flavoursome 4% beers for a relatively cheap, or a cheap price, definitely a cheap price, then I'm happy. I'm happy with that. So these beers are definitely on my radar. Gonna rate it. Citrusy, zesty, lemony. spicy, peppery, a little bit of sweetness to begin with. Great balance to the beer. I like that. I really like that. This is one of the first real adjuncty beers that I've been able to get on with, and for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom, cheers.